Hey, good morning. How are you, Bill?
Hey, I'm doing great. Damon DeMarco, also Florence and Emily Engoran. It's a great for you folks to stop by South Georgia today on this very important anniversary in America's history.
We're pleased to be here. Thank you.
A great book, Tower Stories, An Oral History of 9/11. Damon, it must have been tough getting the firsthand experiences from all of these people, this amazing compilation that you have in this book. How did you get these people to talk about this?
Well, you asked them. During the days after 9/11, I was in shock. I think everyone was. But I remember distinctly feeling that this is something that needs to be investigated and it needs to be written down. Because my fear was that we would lose, as history and time march on, the feeling and the details and the truth of what actually happened on that day. So for the next 2 years, I ran around Manhattan and interviewed over 100 people, about 45 of which are in the book.
Florence, I wanted to talk to you. You are in the South Tower. You are in an elevator, and you look out your window, and the first plane hits. If you could walk us through that experience, and you're pregnant at the time, too, which is got to be just unbelievable.
Yes. I mean, looking out the window, all I can remember seeing, like, papers and flames and just saying to myself, I know it's the other building, but I need to get out of here. And I had some coworkers help me. We got into the stairwell, which was full of people, and, we walked down, and I probably got down to about the 30th floor, and that's when the second plane hit us, and the building just twisted and shook. And, from that point on, it was kind of walking down in silence, thinking, I hope this building doesn't collapse.
Well, one of the things that is just really just kind of gut-wrenching when you find out about this is when they got on the loudspeaker and they told people to stay at their desk, and I'm assuming some people decided to take that advice, and you did it instinctively. It's just something clicked on with you, and you just said, you got to get out of here, which is just remarkable. Mm-hmm. People making a mad rush, people helping people. Were there some people that weren't helping others? What were people doing at the time when you were in that stairwell? What was the mad rush like?
Well, it really, in the beginning, people kind of, ran in the stairwell and were kind of running down. But after a while, it really got actually pretty organized. People were walking. If someone had water, they were handing it off to people. I had people handing me water because they knew I was pregnant. And, it was really organized going down. You would think that people would be pushing and panicking, and it really wasn't. I think people kind of, I know for myself, I just kind of said to myself, you know what, if I can make it down to 20 and that's going to be it, that will be it. I just felt like I didn't want to go out pushing and scratching like that. I just was going to walk down and, let fate be what fate was.
When my wife was pregnant with my daughter, Emma, it's tough to get around, but just imagining going down all those flights of stairs being 5 months pregnant. Wow, how do you do it? How in the world do you do it?
Boy, no, I was sweaty. It was hot in there because, there's no really air conditioning in the stairwell. It was, I was sweating.
Florence, you had help from two of your colleagues, if I remember, Brian and Brimley.
Right, exactly.
Well, it sounds like you definitely had some angels watching over you that day for sure. I wanted to talk to your daughter, Emily, if I could there, Florence.
Yes.
Emily, when you think about what your mom went through on 9/11, what goes through your mind?
What goes through my mind is just how I never would believe something that terrible would happen to my mom.
Wow, it's something, isn't it? And I understand you celebrated a birthday not too long ago. What was your 11th birthday like?
Well, my grandmother had arranged this person to come and interview me when it was my birthday in Florida, but it really was more about my mom because I wasn't the person in the tower, but I was in her stomach. She was in the tower. Yeah,
it is just a remarkable thing to be thinking about all these things on 9/11 as we look at the anniversary 12 years later. Florence, tell me about the fact that you were missing for a period of time and your husband was looking for you. They were frantically looking for you for a short period of time. And once you got out of the tower, and you still weren't done yet. There was still some chaos. There were still things going on where you had to get to safety. Tell us a little bit about that experience too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, once you got out of the building, I mean, you definitely had to run. You were avoiding, the debris that was falling from the building. And, I mean, there wasn't anyone giving you direction. I mean, once you were outside, it wasn't organized at all. I mean, there were people running around, people just standing and looking at the towers. And so we had to kind of make our way up Manhattan from, downtown. And, once we got to City Hall, they thought something was going on there. They had us running from City Hall, and we finally ended up in, an office building. People just kind of said, come on in. And we were there a little while until the towers collapsed, and then we had to evacuate from there. And again, walking up, from lower Manhattan after the towers collapsed, I kind of just fainted, and I had people bring me to St. Vincent's Hospital.
What's the hardest part of retelling your story, Florence?
It's just, at a moment kind of thinking, well, that could have been it. And especially, but now, I mean, with my daughter, Emily, like I have this little girl who, I thought I wasn't going to get to see at that moment. And, here she is, and she's a great kid. She does, wonderful things. And so for me, it's not so hard anymore.
Well, it is an amazing book. Damon, thank you so much for getting these folks on the radio and telling this amazing story. The book is Tower Stories, an Oral History of 9/11. Before I let you guys go, Damon, if you could explain to us, what do you hope people learn from this book, and what can they take away from these events and the stories in this book?
Well, that's a great question, and probably the pivotal question, I think. I think what we can take away from it is that it was a horrible day, it was a sad day, but so much of the best of who we are as a people came out that day, too. Our resilience came out, our courage came out, and our willingness to help each other. And that's what Tower Stories, at its heart, is really about.
People got to pick it up. Go to Amazon.com, and it's a great story. I had a chance to read through it the other night, and I'm still reading through it. More stories to come. Damon DeMarco along with Florence and Emily Engoran. Folks, thank you so much for stopping by South Georgia today.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.